please come to order. There's a quorum present, all of our court members are present. All legal notices have been duly posted and the court's duly called. Is there a motion to open court?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries unanimously. Faithful, please open court.
All right. The Dallas County Commissioners Court is now in session for November 2013 term with Honorable Judge Jenkins presiding. Please remain standing for the invocation.
All right. And our invocation will be given today by my guest, the overseer Tanya J. Hatchett. Please come forward. Overseer Hatchett has served as a chaplain for the Veterans Administration of North Texas System for the last 15 years. In 2008, she retired with the rank of Lieutenant Colonel from the Air Force Reserves and is commander of the 610th Services Squadron for the Naval Air Station in Fort Worth Joint Reserve Base. With 20 total years of military service, both active and reserve duty. She also serves as adjunct faculty for Bratton Divinity School at Texas Christian. Overseer Hatchett, and I resist saying something about the Baylor Bears at that moment. Almost. Overseer Hatchett was ordained as an elder in 2003. New Creation Christian Fellowship in San Antonio was elevated to the office of Overseer at the end of 2011, and she honors us with her presence and her prayers.
Let us pray. Eternal God, we join with others this day, honoring the veterans who defended our country in a time of danger. We remember those women and men who were called by their nation to defend liberties and preserve unity. Bless and do good to those fathers and mothers who have given sons and daughters to serve our nation on land or at sea or in the air. As you have been with us then, be with us now. Sustain our veterans, from whom war and conflict has not ceased, but continues within their hearts and souls. Give peace to those who have known no peace, and patience, and give understanding to those who walk beside them. Let all who would forget war and reach out in compassion to those who must always remember. May your divine grace be upon those who did not return, and upon those families who still grieve. May the nightmares of war cease so that the healing can take place. Then we can dream dreams of peace, peace of mind, peace of heart. May those who have given their lives in defense of freedom help us to have a true love for our country and appreciate all the blessings we so often take for granted. Help us to be good citizens, both of God and of country. We ask this all in your name. Amen.
Chaplain Hatchett, thank you. And my best in regard as well to Dr. Carrie Day and to you. Dwight Divinity School has long been a staple in this community in Fort Worth, but also has been challenged. And I'm aware of Dr. Day, her recent book I just read, but I'm glad to know that you're there as well. And so thank you very much.
We have two, thank you also for your military service on this Veterans Day. Colin Powell said once that tomorrow is November the 12th. Of course, today's November 12th. He's speaking at a Veterans Day event. So tomorrow is November the 12th. Let us make that an all-days Veterans Day. I think that is a fitting thing for us to remember about our veterans. Let's not forget our veterans every day of the year. Let's work towards making Dallas County the most hospitable place in the country for veterans. And let's take simple acts of appreciation by when you see a veteran, thank a veteran. We got two resolutions this morning. The first is from Commissioner Daniel
Good morning, and regretfully, the family of Ernie Banks was unable to come today, but I wanted to just take one moment to say that very often from this table, we recognize a lot of people in the community for what they do. And we must not forget that each one of us does add something to our community. And people may say that Ernie Banks, well, he was just a baseball player. Ernie Banks was born in Richardson, Texas. He still has a nephew there and family there. He graduated from Booker T. Washington High School. He is receiving an award from President Obama, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which goes to men and women who have dedicated their lives to enriching ours. So that, yes, he was a baseball player and an excellent baseball player, played for the Cubs, had a very illustrious career, not only as a player, but went on to be a manager. After he was a manager, he was an active member of the Chicago community, where he established a charity, the Live Above and Beyond Foundation, to help eliminate prejudice, so that he used his position as only a baseball player, albeit an incredibly good baseball player, to say to the rest of us that it is important what we do. It is also important how we do it. So I just wanted to take this moment to make this resolution in recognition that, yes, all of us are playing our part, doing our part. And so hats off to Ernie Banks and the pleasure that he brought all of us and the good that he brought all of us as he receives the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
If that's a motion, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second.
And just to comment that he, born in Richardson and grew up in West Dallas.
Okay, so we can share. Okay.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Thank you. Following on with our theme of great athletes who honor our community, I want to recognize Commissioner Price, who will be recognizing some great young athletes this morning.
Judge, Commissioner, this morning we are extremely pleased to represent the greatest girls track team in the history of the University League, but happened to be in Dallas County, happened to be in District 3. So I asked Coach Humphrey and the Lady Tigers to please come forward.
All right, let's go Tigers.
Says, whereas Dallas County is always proud and honored to recognize outstanding performance by its citizens, whose courage and work ethic is exceptional and noble. And whereas Dallas County encourages all aspects of public education and those extracurricular activities which teach life lessons and promote individual development among young people of all ages and all disciplines. And whereas the mighty Lady Tigers of Lancaster High School, located in Dallas County, has recorded an outstanding number of firsts, including the first track team in the history of Texas University Interscholastic League to win 8 consecutive state championship titles, 2001 to 2008 in track and field. And whereas the Lancaster girls track team has garnered the 2013 district, the area, the regional, and state championship to add to its legacy of exceptional feats of athletic and academic prowess. And whereas the 2013 team, like all of the others, have been led by the legendary genius and crafty of Coach Beverly D. Humphrey, who has distinguished herself in the annals of UIL history in Greenville, Texas, and now at Lancaster by her persistence in developing championship squads. And whereas the 2013 team was led by Lady Tigers, Alexis Flores, Adriana Burkholm, Taylor Rockwell, Ebony Coleman, Alicia Harris, Jaquetta Canyon, and they dominated their opponents in the 4x100, 200, and 400 relays, and the 100-meter event, and the shot put. And whereas Coach Humphrey and the Lady Tigers were assisted by outstanding contribution of assistant coaches, Monica Williams, Jason Reed, Justin Brewer, Megan Morris, and Maria James, therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court is hereby, and with great respect and admiration, join this community as we all congratulate the 2013 Lady Tiger track team of Lancaster High. And awesome.
Motion and a second.
Thank you, Commissioner Price.
Oh, no. Coach, come on. I want to comment. We have a number of things for you. First of all, we'd like just a commentary on, first of all, how...
We got to vote.
You didn't vote?
No.
Okay, got a motion and a second.
Yeah. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
You can vote. Yeah, push it. Okay.
All right, motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Coach, comment, please, on how you do.
First of all, we would like to thank you all for inviting us down. Commissioner Price, this has been an extremely important event for us, the first time, and we feel so blessed to be recognized. The girls have fought hard. We've won 10 state championships. It has not always been easy, but during that time, we've won 24 consecutive district championships, 14 regional championships, 13 consecutive, and they started area and UIL last year, and we won that. And I don't want to get long-winded, but I would like for you guys to know that we've had graduates from Syracuse, Vanderbilt, Texas, LSU, in addition to HBCUs. So education is very important. It's key. The coaching staff is outstanding. We work hard at it, and we are proud to be the history-making Lady Tigers, the first since the inception of UIL, to bring this honor back to our area. Thank you so much.
There's a lot of things that are going to be done here this week in terms of recognition. And when you understand the history, and I'm sure you do, and listen to Coach Humphrey, by the way, for my colleagues and for the record, Lancaster did the right thing a few years ago under the direction of Superintendent Larry Lewis, as they named the stadium in Lancaster after Coach Humphrey. And so as we drive by that new road that we built out there, Miss Alberta, that stadium bears the name of Coach Humphreys, and rightfully so. But as we talk about the UIL, just a few years ago, we weren't able to participate in the UIL. We were in what was called the Prairie Review League. And I was glad to hear Coach Humphrey as she talked about the Syracuse of the world and the UTs and all those universities. She talked about historically black colleges and universities. because there was a time that we could not play in the UI. And so I just want to say thank you for it, as your new vernacular for representing. We appreciate that. This week, Dallas County is going to, as we come toward the 50th anniversary commemoration of President JFK's life and what he did. And as we are 150 years from the emancipation, freedom that African Americans garnered under that proclamation, I invite you to do one more thing as I'm going to invite my colleagues. We're going to unveil a white-only waterfront this week here in Dallas County. It's going to be done on Friday. It is no different than people who remember their history in the Holocaust or anything else. It's a step in where we've come from. That's one of the reasons I want to take this opportunity to tell you about the prayer you do. It's all part of the step of where we need to go. But thank you for representing us, not only on the field, but academically, as Coach Humphrey said. So I just wanted to say thank you. I'm going to invite you, Coach, and it's my pleasure. The time you want to take the young ladies to see 12 years a slave, a true story. That's my truth. I think it's imperative that our young people see this true story about where we've come from. And in this, what I call Reconstruction era, and most people don't want to deem it that. But as we see the issues we're challenging in Reconstruction, and this second Reconstruction era, I think it's imperative that they do that to get a good, fundamental, sound foundation. So again, thank you. Each one of you will get a resolution in addition to that. Chief of Staff, we have something designed for you, and it is going to be cold up. So this is each one of you have one. Each one to come and assist. And I just want you to know, wear this with pride. Just know that we're proud of you. And thank you very much.
Lastly, Commissioner Price, since you brought up the PBIL, I am a life member of the PBIL.
Good.
Also, I'm a proud graduate of Prairie Grove University.
I knew you.
Well, if y'all want to come and get a picture, we can get a picture. And ladies, you know, we stand on the shoulders of our parents who've done so much for us. If I can make a quick plug, you don't want to get too far away from your mamas, and 96 miles down the road, Lady University. Lady University is a track team. We love you when you come down and check out the campus at Lady University.
I understand what your school board members do. Oh, yeah.
Y'all
Come on up.
I guess we sit down.
Hey, listen down. Come on, Coach. I'm sorry. Yeah. Thank you. Come on.
This is zero, let's show that. Oh, really? How about that? We got it.
Put it in front of your face, Jim. Well, yeah, come together. Come on, together. And those of you who never run, those of y'all who never trained and run track. Track is hard. Yeah, then, we'll let you shop.
There you go.
Okay. Which one of y'all is Michelle Carter? Which one of y'all? You know Michelle Carter? Michelle Carter is a shot put Olympian, and her mom, we were all together this weekend at the class reunion, and she represents Dallas very well. What's she next to me? Well, I know, I'm just saying. You want to have a comment for the record and introduce yourself for the record?
Good morning. My name is Ty G. Jones. I'm the president of the Langston Division School Board. Definitely like to appreciate the acknowledgments being received by the definitely by the track team. They brought us a lot of honor and recognition. I used to be employed by Langston, and when I was there during that time of 2001 to 2008, pilot level second. We definitely appreciate this honor and this recognition. Thank you, Master Board.
Thank you. And as Dick Lesberg and I work on the new water deal, we're going to have to build a new tower out there. Just so we can put the Langston Tiger. Lady Tiger, excuse me, Lady Tiger.
Tiger Tower, water tower.
Yes.
Judge, I also see in the audience my good friend Richard Zambrano. Richard, can you wave? You know, he is the chair of the LULAC, National Civil Rights Commission, and a member of DSET as well. Neves Credenti, which is having also an event November 16th, Richard, you know, at the Majestic Theater, 7 o'clock at night, and the name of the program is Strong Families in Difficult Times. Familias fuertes en tiempos difíciles, and they have a Mexican author, one of the most renowned when it comes to family issues. Carlos Cuauhtémoc Sanchez will be the main speaker. So I'm sure, Richard, you don't mind me to say, you know, everybody's welcome. There's a cost, but it's a minimum cost at the Majestic Theater, November 16. Strong Families in Difficult Times, bilingual as well. So thank you, Mr. Zambrano, for being here as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we reach our consent agenda. Is your motion on the consent agenda?
So move.
I want to pull the Jason Hargrave from the consent agenda.
And that's the payment.
That's a personnel item.
Why are we pulling it?
And I'm pulling.
Well, since this personnel, let's not discuss why we're pulling it. Anything's not agreed upon, we'll pull it from the consent agenda. We'll discuss that personnel item to the extent it needs to be discussed in a closed example hour. Chapter 5 is going to go.
Was that going on close?
If
discuss it today, correct?
Sure.
Number 6. Is that correct?
We're pulling, no, I'm not pulling that down. I'm putting a specific court order as it pertains to Sheriff's Department, not a promotion. Putting specific, the rest of it, that is, I'm okay with it. I'm going to pull that. We can discuss it either here or in the matter, but the judge.
Closed session is
Okay.
the first one.
Okay.
Move to approve the consent agenda, pulling out the item Commissioner Price.
And that being the case, I'll second the rest of the agenda.
Judge Schulman has voted no for any payments that are related to the voter ID lawsuit as approved in Court Order 2013-1624, approved on October 1st, 2013.
It's good, stick that. All right, so you get that part. I don't know that we need to put all that about the show and know what we can do. You can do that at a later time. As far as typing it out, we did it. That's it. We got that on the record. All right, so we have a motion to, because there are no payments on this consent agenda, correct?
Well, I'm just making sure.
Okay.
There should
All
be
right,
nothing.
all right. Okay, so we'll make that into the notes afterward, but we've got a motion to approve the consent agenda excluding the personnel item mentioned. All those in favor signify by saying aye or yea.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Good job down there. All right, next we will move to our formal, I'm sorry, no, we have a bid today. We'll take item 9 to bids. Is there a motion on the bid?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Price and a second by Commissioner Cantrell.
And the EO1 was sent to us,
Yeah.
and it was a diverse group. I don't remember seeing it, but I remember you mentioned to me that it was, yes, within our group. That's it. Thank you, Judge.
You'd be proud.
And
All this new organization. Okay.
all those in favor of the bid signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, we'll consider our formal court orders, J 1 through 22. Is there a motion on J 1 through 22?
Which we're going to pull 21, Judge, bring that back at a later date. Well,
Saying 1 through 22, or you can count K1 in, or?
No, I think K1 is next. So timestamps will be after J.
I see 1 through 20. Am I missing 22?
All I know is what I've got on that sheet here.
I see.
1 through 21.
So it should be 1 through 20.
Okay, well,
1 to be full. Right.
And I am abstaining on 14 and have comments on 6 and 7. So it's 7. You got my name there.
did you fill out a motion, but I'm gonna, I got still got questions on that.
So, in order for us to discuss it, I'll need a motion and a second on the board. And a second.
I'll second everything except 9.
And I'm abstaining on 14.
All right. And what is 9?
9 is the Dallas County Competency Restoration Court.
All right, I'll second 9 so that we can discuss.
We can second all of them.
Not second.
No, not second. Well, I am, I will discuss it.
You're going to say all? Okay. All right.
Just
So,
to rephrase, we're moving to approve everything except, we're going to discuss 7, 8, 9, and Commissioner Perez doing 21.
no, I think actually what's happening. We have a motion and a second, all, and now we can discuss and decide how you want to vote. So,
Well,
So
the
that's
motion is for 1 through 20.
Commissioner Perez said
1 through 20. Right, 1 through 20.
okay, now what was 14? No, don't exclude 14. I'm sorry. She's not going to vote on 14. Okay. Okay.
Mr. Daniel made a motion for 1 through 20, second by Commissioner Price. So we're seeing 1 through 20.
Excluding 14 and 21.
No,
Motion's 1 through 20, period.
But I think what she's saying is the way the electronic system is,
Right, okay.
she's got to pull it out.
So your motion needs to be revised to 1 through 20, excluding 14.
14. Right, and the second
Let the
exception.
mechanics catch up to what we just said.
Exactly.
all right.
I would say this and
Great. All right, so now we've got 1 through 20, excluding 14. Are there any comments, starting in numerical order with whatever the motion is?
Probably the person is going to be Mr. Stretcher will come forward on this Dallas County Competency Restoration Court. I've talked to a number of individuals with regards to this. You and I met, did get that information, and we would tell the court for the record that the reason that I'd asked last week in regards to this court and the fact that it was not certified yet.
Commissioner, Governor Perry created a Special Courts Advisory Council by executive order in 2012. And as that group has met, they've begun to try to get all of the specialty problem-solving courts kind of on the same page and together. One of the first things they wanted to do was create a inventory of all the courts, you know, what they did, who was the presiding, and kind of who was the main contact. As part of that process, that they want a resolution with specific language for any recognized specialty courts. While we've had many of these operating for many years, we really never had that resolution authorizing the courts with the language that the state was looking for. And over the course of the last few weeks, we've brought several of those to your attention. On the 15th, we had a formal order for our divert court, which Judge Burns presides over, and that's actually our oldest court that's been in existence since '98. But we didn't have that court order with that language establishing it. We've been briefed on it many times. We've had funding coming in, but never a court order with that exact language. No, I'm sorry, she's not here.
Okay. Yeah, I thought because I got something a little bit. Go ahead.
And then on the 22nd, we did several, our staff court for probationers, our veterans court, our felony and misdemeanor DWI courts, and our star court for felony prostitution. Then on the 29th, we had a court order for Judge Wade's mental health diversion court, and then we briefed the one on the competency courts. So really, Commissioner, it's a case of trying to get this cleaned up and make sure we have what the state is looking for in the exact format the state is looking for.
But the fact of the matter is, all of the courts, you're telling me that they were not, they hadn't met that criteria with regards to what best practices and what they.
Well, I'm saying we never had the court order with the language the state was looking for establishing those courts. And that's what we brought back to the court over the last few weeks.
So, but this court is not the only court that's doing OCR.
Well, this is the only court doing formal outpatient competency restoration. You know, this came out of the legislature maybe in '07. They authorized the funding for that. The funding goes from the State Department of Health Services to Value Options. They use their network of providers. But this is the only court of ours doing outpatient competency.
We don't have any felony courts doing OCR.
Not formal, no sir. Now,
When you say, what do you call it, formal?
well, when we have felony outpatient competency cases, they end up being followed in whatever court they were already in. So there's no formal program for that. We just give reports to the judges, but it's not a formal problem-solving court that follows the 10 key components and has all the requirements of that. We've not been able to get a felony judge to allow us to consolidate our outpatients like we have with the misdemeanors.
Who is Miriam Udin?
Last name?
UDDIN?
Staff, I think.
Competency public defender, there's a competency public defender and a competency prosecutor that handles all of these cases in both the misdemeanor and the felony courts. Miriam does the public defender's job.
Well, I know, I talked, so am I misled? Is she not doing any felony OCRs?
Yes, she is.
Well, I was just talking, Mr. Christian, so far, because I'm getting conflict here. I just was told that we're not doing felony OCRs. Do we are or we are?
We are there. We haven't been able to get a judge to consolidate them into one court, like in the misdemeanor court with Judge Skimp. But they're doing them in each of the felony courts. If there's somebody that is incompetent and is eligible to be treated in the community, then that particular judge presides over that, and the PD and the assistant district attorney work and report to that judge on a regular basis. It would be great if we could get a felony judge to do it, because both the prosecutors and the public defenders have to go from court to court to court, which makes it easier in misdemeanor courts to have it all consolidated in one program. So that's our goal, to try to find a felony judge who will be willing to do that, so these attorneys don't have to go all over the courthouse all the time.
So that's the only difference between this court and the fact that it is being done.
Right, they still meet special requirements. They have to report, they have to work with the provider and the community, report back to the judge, and if for some reason the participant isn't doing what they're supposed to do, then they're placed back into custody and then they go to the state hospital. But the goal is to cut down on the cost. If we can treat them in the community, we do so. So the only difference is that Judge Skimp does it, the misdemeanor judges transfer their cases into his court, and in the felony courts, we do it on a court-to-court basis.
So Atlas and those particular programs, by agreement from the other courts, or is it just
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Of course, Atlas focuses on felony probation violations.
Right, I know.
They wouldn't handle anybody that was not competent.
I got it. But I'm just saying all I'm saying is all the other specialty courts, Minnesota except this.
Well, from my understanding, certified means you've got a court order from the Commissioner's Court for the county with the language that the state's looking for. So from that standpoint, the ones we've done these past few weeks that I listed earlier were not certified until we have that court order.
So you're telling me that what Judge Mullins and Judge Hayes are doing with these defenders and working on these programs and supposedly, quote, following best practices, they don't fall under the specialty court certification model? Now, I'm just trying to...
All I know about those two courts and those judges is they've expressed interest in having specialty courts. I know we did some training. They went to the NADCP. But now I'm not aware that they're functioning with that, are they?
See, that's my point.
Well, I agree with you completely, Commissioner, and that's what we talked about a couple of weeks ago. I need to get all of our hands around all of the specialty courts, because they do kind of seem to pop up without a lot of coordination within the system.
So, again, I talked to Judge Skimp, I've talked to other people, but then again, after I talked to you, I went and did some other work, and I don't have a comfort level with regards to these courts that the left hand over there knows what the right hand is doing with regards to all these courts and all of their best practices in performance.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And we've got to get our hands around that, and we're starting on a path to do that. And first, list and make sure we know who is doing this and what populations they're serving. Then we'll begin to look at where their funding coming from, how we're paying for it, and start to get our hands on some outcomes. This is definitely a priority that we need to focus on.
Well,
But part of this step is to get the ones we've got up and we know are functioning with the right court orders and certified so we can move forward.
Well, and for the court members, the reason I'm continuing to drive this issue is that we will make appropriations with regards specifically to this, this population, this management, focusing, and it appears as though someone is awakened and all of a sudden say, wow, it's we haven't been certified. We've been getting funding, Court has been doing funding in these areas, both in the public defender's side of the aisle and on the state side of the aisle, in the district attorney's office as well. So, I still find it peculiar that all of a sudden we would just not seem to be getting our arms around this.
Well, I think what's awoken is the state, and they've got their specialty court advisory council, and they're working towards implementing more standardization so that across the state, we all know if we say it's a problem-solving court, they're following the requirements, they're following the components, and they're operating effectively. So that's what's awoken. And so now we're trying to, A, get the requirements that the state wants, but B, also to do a better job of coordinating all of our specialty courts and knowing exactly what we're getting for our investment.
So essentially, everything is to be lined up as the state is indicating the basic criteria are. And the timing is, I think, part of what you're questioning. Why is it a court that was created in 2007? At this point now, having some changes made to it, but it's triggered by what the state is doing and the advisory committee that was created there.
But those other courts were created back there then, except for maybe Judge Mullins and Judge Hayes. Judge Mullins and Judge Hayes, they were created back there too, and they haven't had the under whatever guise practicing best practices model. They've been performing and have been at least considered to be certified. So
I think you'll clearly find, and we'll go back and check it. I would be very surprised if those two courts at this point will meet all the requirements. As they are following the 10P, I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Well, I can't either. But those were they came under the quote specialty courts model that have been at least advanced. But okay.
And those cause me pause too. That I know, like I said, we did some training. They expressed an interest, but I was not at all aware that they were functioning in that format. They're serving, and we'll obviously find that out and get that. But I'll check and confirm it. I'll be surprised if they've gone through the certification process.
But they're functioning. Is that correct? Yes, those young people. I've been over that stuff, so I know it's happening. Okay.
I think commissioners judge that what the governor is trying to do is that have some structure and make sure that these courts are operating the way they should be, because if they're not following standard procedure and best practices, then sometimes you can do more harm than good. So this is an effort by the state and across the country to make sure those people who have expressed judges an interest in doing this are following best practices. And I guess the first step to doing this. But I do know that in order to get funding, a lot of these courts, under the reentry courts, the Atlas program, the misdemeanor jail diversion program, they do receive funding from the state. So I think there's certain requirements you have to meet in order to get that funding.
So CJD?
Yeah.
CJD grant?
Yes. But then others of ours don't get that money. It's not all of these courts are grant funded.
Right. Some of them just do it themselves, just for
Correct.
Okay. I just need our staff at least all be on the same page, because as I said, I got work out memos I've been generating back and forth, and it appears as though all of our staff is on the same page.
I think that's a very fair statement. One thing we're doing to try to correct that is we do have a reclass on for our divert court manager to be looked at and reclassed so that she could kind of function as a coordinator for all the specialty courts. And that's, I don't mean like a court coordinator, but coordinate their reports and their information to the state. And we do have a staff member on one of the state court groups, Ms. Dickerson, and that's been very helpful to us. She's been able to kind of clue us in, hey, this is coming, get ready, this is coming, get ready. And so we're working to do that.
Yeah.
What we're working on is she's helping us do that, and we'll have this to the court just as soon as we can. A presentation on our specialty courts, make sure we've got our hands around who's out there, who's doing what, and what their outcomes are. And that's an important piece of the puzzle. Because I can't tell you what kind of outcomes we have with some of the courts because they don't publish any data on a routine basis. And we do also get into a lot of changes in how these courts are managed. Some are probation, some are kind of on their own. My staff primarily manages Judge Wade and Judge Skim's courts. So that's what we're trying to
at
get
the
our hands
same
around.
time, the bottom line, even though they're transferred, it impacts the so-called high cost per dispositions, because the net cost is impacted, because those courts get a bite, if you will, from what the rest of the courts are doing in terms of performance. And so you got to factor that in. Now let's talk about the court we're talking about today. As you said, 200 extra cases a year. And when you factor that in, yes, when I look at my judicial management report, it has high end.
Well, it absolutely does, because those are cases that take some time to move through and dispose, and they're almost never going to generate any revenue court loss. I know I've shared this, and Ron and I've talked about this. I'm not really sure how we're trying to account for that in the judicial management report. But it does have an impact. It also has a positive impact by having these cases all consolidated in one court. They're much easier to manage and much easier to keep moving through. So it has that positive impact.
And Ron, as you're looking at that, let's try to compare apples to apples. And to me, a misdemeanor drug rehabilitation court is not apples to apples with a misdemeanor competency or a restoration court. So there are other counties and other places in this country that have competency restoration. Compare us with that, because if you compare people, misdemeanor drugs getting cleaned up, it's going to be a lot easier for people to pass drug court than it is for them to remain competency if we have chronic competency.
Absolutely.
To be fair to the people in that court, to the prosecutors, the defenders, and the judge in that court, not really apples to apples to say, well, this group over here got a lot of people on marijuana. But this group over here is dealing with people that need their competency restored. So,
and I think you find that with all the populations, there's some different pressures there.
But that's also why it's important for them to follow best practices. For example, if you're sanctioning a person that goes to one of the mental health courts, a felony court, best practices says that putting them in jail for a sanction, if they don't do it, if they test positive or they keep messing up, putting them in jail should be the last resort for them. And if you put them in, you shouldn't put them any longer than 3 days, or it's not effective. Well, if you're not getting the training, if you're not following up, if you're not paying attention to best practices, then you may end up putting somebody in jail for a month. Okay, that's costly for the county, and also it doesn't benefit that person. So that's why we're trying to encourage all of the courts to get together, do the training, and to follow best practices so that they're successful and the outcomes win.
And I hear what you're saying. I'm dealing with the same thing with one of the school districts. They never met a kid that they don't want to throw in jail or hammer on. And what I try to talk to those folks about is, we may not agree on the way that we're going about this, but we can all agree it should be outcome based, right? We want these kids to graduate from high school, right? If I don't think throwing them in jail will accomplish that goal. You do. Let's look at your cohort of kids who've done that too, and my cohort of kids that have done that too. And I think we can do that with our competency courts. If we've got a competency court that's chunking somebody in jail for a month, we can compare that to a competency court somewhere else in the state or the nation that is doing that and seeing what the outcomes are.
Any other questions? We provided everything.
You really want some more questions?
If I haven't,
Right.
I mean, I want to respond.
You responded. I followed through after our meeting last week.
Thank you, Ms. Richards.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on J1, each one of the school report?
Yes, Judge. As you all know, 7 and 8. Colleagues, members of the audience, I just wanted to make some comments about the joint appointments to the Dallas County Park Board. You all know, my colleagues know, where I stand on this issue. And as I have told you, I was going to abstain on these two items, however, just based on principle. However, after reviewing all the resumes that we got, last night and looking at our candidates, they are good candidates, both of them. And I talked to Dr. Wiggins, and I really was impressed with her. So I decided that I'm going to support these two items, Judge. However, I do want to say on the record that I am extremely disappointed on the way we managed, the decisions on these nominees. The fact that we leave a Parkland board, 7 members, with only one Latino really causes me great heartburn. Not to mention the fact that, well, Commissioner, trust me, I feel your frustration. Not to mention that when it comes to Latino participation, I was the one who brought most of the candidates forward. So I find this process going backwards rather than forward, and I'm disappointed. When we look at Dallas County and the fact that Latinos are 42% of the population, and when we look at the patient load of Parkland Hospital, is more than that. It's just amazing to me that we're really going backwards rather than forward. We talk all the time about diversity. We talk all the time about inclusion. We talk all about how Dallas County embraces the makeup of Dallas County. But then again, when we talk about boards and commissions, if the numbers are not there, colleagues, I just call that lip service. So while I will be supporting and I will be voting for the nominees that are in front of us today, I do it reluctantly, and I do have to say that again, we are not as embracing diversity as we can sometimes do. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, colleagues.
To follow up, so the record will be crystal clear. I'm glad you finally feel the frustration. I've been on this court 28 years, and there's only been one African American on the board, and that was my appointment. And even while I did not so-called $750,000 Saranac report on good governance, all of my appointees, with the exception of the first, meet all the criteria under the Saranac report. We have never, until this court, a year ago, 2 years ago, appointed an African American since 1954. Dr. Wiggins comes as only the second appointee. We've always appointed a Hispanic or an Asian in the joint appointment. But Dr. Wiggins comes exceptionally qualified, meeting all the criteria of the Saranac report. Harvard undergrad, Harvard Medical School, psychiatrist, as most of this court and the public knows, is unfortunately that was the portal that kind of led to the, quote, CMA oversight. I've subsequently, based on Saranac, interviewed Dr. Woods. Dr. Woods meets that criteria that Saranac said that is missing from governance. Spent some time with Dr. Woods, and definitely, and she will be a real addition to this board. But both of these individuals meet that criteria. I know you would say already, as we've discussed, that I have a doctorate. All of my appointments have been doctors, medical doctors.
And the Saranac never says that all of them have to be doctors.
I got that, but I'm not appointing them to the Federal Reserve. I'm appointing them to a hospital.
Wait a minute, Commissioner.
No.
Okay.
I'm appointing them to a hospital. And one of the problems I've had with Parkland, operational, again, when they talk about psychiatry, they talked about the fact there were some missing elements. I placed somebody on that board who has that background. prior to that, operationally, they haven't talked about, facilities, janitorial. They even though cleanliness was a part of it, they've talked about operationally the hospital. Doctors and nurses, they will tell you that nurses run the day-to-day operations of hospitals, and Dr. Woods brings that to the table. So all I'm saying to you is that I don't know if we've gone by. We've always had, at least one Hispanic and one African American. I look for the day that.
Well, let me just say this, Commissioner, because I know that I've been supported the Saranac report, and I still believe the Saranac report has very good points within the study that should be and probably will be good to apply at the Parkland Board. With that being said, it never says that all of them have to be doctors, and like I say, the candidates are very qualified. And I just want to remind everybody that it was a board, that only had one doctor, the one that carried us through the CMS oversight. And that was Dr. De La Cruz and later Dr. Purcell. But the reality is, for the last 2 years, most of the work had been done by a board that only had 2 doctors. And I think they've done an outstanding job. And I believe that more than, everybody being doctors, we have to have a team. We have a team that has different expertise. When it comes to management, when it comes to, numbers, when it comes to budget, when it comes to so many, when it comes to construction, that, yes, doctors are really important, and hey, it's a Parkland Board, I totally understand that. But nevertheless, it's about having the right team. And I think, my comments say it all. I'm just disappointed of the way the process went. I think we're doing a disservice when we go down rather than up. And that's what I want to do with the commission. Thank you, colleagues.
And we did, I'm thinking about it, but I did interview the candidate that you.
I actually agreed to take it actually 4, but one of them didn't have the right reference.
I would like to say just one point at the end of that. None of us get to pick how we look. But that does not mean that all of us do not want to do the absolute best job that we can and pick the best people that we can to be on our boards and commissions. At any point in time, there may not be the individuals in the general population, in the general public, who have the time to dedicate to this particular board that does require, at this particular point in history, an inordinate amount of time. So that the diligence that each one of us took, regardless of what we look like in attempting to get the best representation that also does look like Dallas County. So I would like to say that I too looked for that type of representation so that we could get not only the best qualified, but those that would be knowledgeable and able to bring their package of skills and talents, which also included an experience to reflect what our population is. And I always want to say that we're not done yet. We most certainly are not done on this particular item. And I will be looking as hard as I can to joining Dr. Garcia and Commissioner Price, as well as the judge and Commissioner Cantrell, in finding those who are the best people and who do represent all of the population in Dallas County. Thank you, Commissioner.
And in closing, I'd like to say that I think we all agree on the importance of diversity for a variety of reasons. This county, in our most recent census, is 43% Hispanic. Many of the people who go to Parkland are Hispanic. Many of those people are not English first language. It is imperative that the people that run Parkland, and you don't have to be a member of the same race to do this, but it is imperative that the people that run Parkland see their patients as patients and not as something less than that or other than themselves, that they see their patients as members of the communities deserving of the best care that we can possibly get. On the issue of diversity, I know every commissioner worked on this for months, as did I. I reached out to my friend Mike Rollins. I said, who do you have on your appointments list who fits into these criteria? And I would prefer that person be Hispanic. I reached out to the immediate past and the current president of the United States Chamber of Commerce, many people across the community. Matrice Kirk, who is in a search firm, helped with that, as did dozens of people in the community, all of the various health organizations, all of the investment bankers that we've done business with, and the large ones that have offices in town, someone at their firms, because one of the core competencies was health finance expertise. And we found many, actually. I interviewed at least 24 qualified Hispanic applicants that fit in those core competencies. The problem that we had right now was that for a variety of reasons, and mostly it was a huge time commitment in a free board, in a board that you're uncompensated, where we currently are is we would need 10 to 20 hours a week from the person that's going to oversee the finances. There were very few people who had that sort of time commitment to balance with family, with their own business. So we reached this point where we had, I guess, a list of qualified applicants, and we chose from that list. I wanted to speak to the Commissioner Price eloquently mentioned Dr. Wiggins, and I would just add to that, she also is an assistant pastor at St. Louis Community Church. She has a real heart for the community, and I think that's really important on the board. The other person that's orders today is Stephanie Woods. Stephanie Woods is a PhD level nurse. She trains nurses. She's the Associate Dean of Nursing at Texas Women's University and also an associate professor there. She currently serves on the board of Presbyterian. She'll be stepping off that board if she is the vote. Well, it sounds like the vote will be unanimous today if the vote goes for her to be on the board at Parkland. I think it's extremely important, and she's going to work on that finance piece for us because she's doing some of that with TWU at the nursing school. But one thing that is very good about this, when we talk about bringing a new perspective to the board, nurses just see things differently than doctors. Nurses are the lifeblood of our hospital, and they are the people that are in that room day in and day out seeing that patient. We need that nurse perspective on our board. And so I'm glad, I think that adds strength to the board. And I'm happy to support both of these candidates. I'll remain committed, and I agree with Dr. Garcia. Not everybody that's on the Parkland board needs to be a healthcare professional. The two competencies that Saranac pointed out that were most missing from the board, and probably because, as Dr. Garcia correctly pointed out, we only had one doctor on the board, is someone with that expertise in healthcare finance, because healthcare finance is different from, say, banking. You've got to make these guesses as to where the payments are going to come in. With Obamacare coming, regardless of what you think of Obamacare, it does turn the healthcare finance world on its head, and it requires us to have some good strategic planning. The person who will be doing that, Stephanie Woods, is not a doctor, but she is a nurse with that expertise. The other core competency that it asked us to find in Saranac happen to be a healthcare professional. So I think further down the list in the core competencies that were are things that are not healthcare professionals, and probably if I had to guess, the reason why they found those two is because we already had some other ones covered. If, for instance, if we had had a board of 7 lawyers, and, or rather 7 doctors, they might have said we needed a lawyer, or we needed a patient advocate, or someone else. So that's where we are. I know every member of this court has worked hard for months to find the best folks. I personally interviewed every person that everybody presented to the court, and I think most of us have, and ready for us to move on. I'm disappointed to the extent that we could not maintain that diversity, but I'm not disappointed with any of the 4 of the commissioners on the work that they've done over the last 4 or 5 months to try to find that, and with the thoughtful process in getting us to where we are today. I appreciate the work of everybody on the court and the staff on that work.
Call the question.
Are all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll next get to our court report. Yeah. And I'll second court order, or some, I guess, I'll second 14. All right, we got that up.
14.
And Dr. Garcia will not be voting on this one.
Correct.
Is there any need for discussion? Are you ready to vote? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, we didn't get it. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, we should get on screen. So when you get that up, would you push that? I second it.
Yeah.
Kind of threw you off there, sorry. All right, push the button. All those in favor, aye. Motion carries unanimously. With Dr. Garcia abstaining. We're going to move to court orders K1, the time sensitive. But before we do that, we're going to recognize a special person in the audience, or actually some special people in the audience. This Friday, we had our emergency operation training mock-up. The team went through an active shooter situation, they went through an overturned tanker, and they went through false information emanating out of the building during an emergency and how to deal with that. And that was all done under the direction of Chief Bass, Daryl, many of Constable Williams, and many people here. The Sheriff's Department were a part of that. I want to thank everybody for taking time of the day and doing what I thought was a great job on y'all's part. The next day we had Urban Shield. That went very well. Really stretched out our capabilities with numerous emergencies happening at once. And I want to thank people for doing that. But also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that today is Chief Bass's birthday. So happy birthday, Chief Bass. All right, Chief Bass, birthday. And we will now, almost as old as we'll now consider item K, our time-sensitive order. Somebody say, so I'm going to need a motion and a second. Say James, we're going. You have a motion and a second.
A motion.
Second.
All right. So that was Dr. Dr. Daniel on the motion and and is there any discussion on the defense formula? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And this takes us to so, Mr. Martin, will you please take us through our briefing session?
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. County Clerk, Item 1, amend Code Order 2013-1057 to approve additional funding for cable and installation services for the Records Building Wi-Fi Expansion Initiative. Item 2, approve the proposed purchase of 3 Microsoft project licenses in an effort to increase efficiency related to the management of various initiatives sponsored by the County Clerk. Item 3, Court Administration, approve.
Let me just ask the clerk, is he here?
He's out of town.
Out of time. Are we still on task to move in? I saw the...
Yes, over the panorama.
Right.
Yes. You saw the pictures that came through yesterday for the second floor vats, and we'd like to start moving some material in there once we get the CO, but we've got to finish up some.
I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out. Where are we? Because I always hear that. I mean, but we go and this is November, so
right. We're projected to finish the roof by the end of November. There are a couple of electrical issues that we need to address. We're hoping to finish up by mid-December. So our goal is by the end of December to be finished and have the CO so we can move in.
By the end of December?
By the end of December to get the CO. So I don't think we'll be able to finish those items before the end of December.
That's not what I was told. I thought we were moving before. I thought we were moving 1st of December. Ms. Brown? Was that not what I was told?
Commissioner, we're going to have to go back and see what the last timeline you received was.
Okay, but now you're telling me that
it will, by the time we get the CO, we had a meeting about 2 weeks ago, and there were some additional items we needed on the roof. They had some of those skylights needed to be completely replaced, so we had to do that according to the fire marshal. So they threw us back a little bit, but we're still, I believe we can still be in by the end of December to start moving boxes and things in the building and get our CO. At that point, the building will be turned over to the county. Robert Dos Santos, who is our fire marshal, will assume control of the building at that point. The city will be out of it, so we'll be able to move a little quicker.
Yeah, we just approved some of the funding for
Yes,
the roof repairs last week.
Yes, you did.
Without the money, I mean,
yeah, we had some additional items on the roof that once they started working, they noticed.
as long as we're moving forward.
Item 3, Court Administration approved utilizing the service of Moody Knoll and BAI for the purpose of conducting a master plan and space allocation study of several county-owned buildings at a cost not to exceed $130,000 funded out of permanent improvement fund. I do need to add just one thing on the scope of work. I need to amend that. I needed to include, as a department head, it needed to be infused tax assessor collector. I left it now. I will amend that scope of work to add the tax assessor collector as one of the department heads of the interview for that study.
And I just want to, say in the record that I want to thank you, Mr. Martin, Gordon Heichel, Ryan Brown, because, we know and understand, the needs. And when you look at our needs inventory of Dallas County, we have over 79 items with a cost of $64 million in needs. And that's almost $1 million per item. So I think that, thanks to your leadership and the revival of the space assessment board, this is a great idea. Let's see where we are, where we will be in the future, and where our needs will be. Hey, we don't know what is going to come out, but nevertheless, we need to be ready, and I think this put us on that step of moving forward with whatever comes. I know that deferred maintenance is the worst thing that anyone can have, because it piles and accumulates fast. Commissioner Daniel and I just toured some with you as well. Some of the Court of Appeals building, I know Commissioner Control has been there as well as Commissioner Price. Some of the way that they were designed, many years ago is probably not the most effective way to deal with public today. So I am very, pleased that, to work with all of you and with my colleagues, of course, to see, what the space analysis is and what are the options that we have, for possible change in the future. Okay.
There's a couple quick questions on this thing. Also want to, and I'm just very, very pleased this finally is moving forward because it is a very good, big step towards looking at our aging buildings and seeing if we can do that to be more public service minded on that. Regarding Crowley, I saw that it was that not all of Crowley is being included in the survey.
Our focus is on looking at the unused space and how do we go about allocating unused space at Crowley. So that would be the focus of the study for Crowley.
Because there had been some concerns about the main jury room there also.
Yes.
And that doesn't fit into that.
It does fit into that. It does.
It does fit into that?
It does fit into that. We'll be looking at issues around proper use of the jury room, what some of the needs are in the jury room. Because part of the study is not only looking at how do we utilize space, but how the space is functioning.
Okay, so that was exactly accurate on.
Right.
You had some comment?
Well, yeah, just the unallocated space only doesn't mean that really meant the eighth floor that's not finished out. It meant the auxiliary courtrooms that are currently being used, those type of spaces, plus the jury room to make sure that that's proper. I understand how you got, yes, that wording wasn't exactly what we had.
And again, I will revise the scope of work and include some of that in there, so that that's not forgotten.
And I can appreciate the masters, planning, actually, this is really, it's really about space as much as anything, space allocation.
Right.
Yeah. Right. That's the real reason, because what happens around here is that space is left open for more than a second. It is commandeered.
Right.
And whether that's boxes, stories, or you name it. You name it, they come.
That's right.
And so that's what this is really about. And I appreciate staff also being able to try to manage this, because you're going to always have requests. But being mindful of the design of our buildings and what they were designed to make. We got floors over there. Things are being stored that can no longer support that structure.
That we never intended for that use.
That's exactly.
Yes.
And Daryl, what's your real deliverable from this scope of this contract? What's the real deliverable that you're looking for?
Well, what we'd like to do is figure out what's the best use of all of our space. Can we utilize it differently? Is there space that's currently vacant that can be?
Are you looking at reconfiguring offices? In other words, let's take John Ames' office.
Right.
Are you looking at going into all of this space and saying,
if the study comes out that there's a better use for how he's utilizing his current space, we'd like to present that to the Commissioner's Court to determine if that's the best use of that space.
And it could be making recommendations they could be making recommendations that they need more space or less space.
Or less space. I mean, yes, they could make both of those recommendations. I mean,
okay.
Or, take a look at Ms. Porter, for example. I think she's standing there, they have folks sitting on top of each other in her space. So how do we expand her space so that folks are not sitting in hallways and boxes aren't sitting in the hallways, so that, we can better utilize, her staff can be better utilized to do the work that they need to do. I mean, we have empty spaces in buildings, and we also have, in those same buildings, we have space with staff sitting on top of each other literally.
Exactly.
So,
So do we still have money set aside for the records building?
Not in direct sense. I mean, there was funds that we had budgeted and talked about using years ago, but those funds have long since been swept in and used on other projects. There is an understanding that the records building is the last major building related to the energy project that we haven't completed. And so there is ongoing dialogue of how do we do that? Do we do it as an energy management project, or do we do it more as a just complete overhaul of the building? So there's a lot of dialogue related to records building.
And remember, complete overhaul, you have an old jail that's been sitting over there vacant for years. That's
Lots of space.
thousands of square feet, but we can't use it.
Well, but you may not look at that, but if you're saying that you can go in and take out all the metal and iron.
I think part of the space study, we're going to look at that also. I mean, it's lead paint and other things that we're going to have to pull out, but there's possibilities, but we need to look at it.
Well, you say it hasn't been used, it hasn't been legitimately used. We spent 3 weeks over there.
Yeah.
Just taking out that it was being used. It wasn't being used. It wasn't being used for its intended purpose.
We didn't know about it.
No, we didn't know that.
Well, Commissioner, as you said, that happens a lot around here.
Oh, I got it. I got it.
No, and the fact that we have some windows completely open, you know, for many, many years, that tells you about efficiency, lighting, tells you about some of those records that are there. I mean, I'd be scared just to touch them, you know, because of how many years of knowledge they've been there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think this is, you know, good use of taxpayers' money and see where we're going. And there's been several articles, you know, mentioning the need of different spaces and the way we deliver our customer service. And I think, you know, this study might be able to bring up to light that, hey, like Commissioner Cantrell kind of hinted, be careful what you ask for. But then again, we better know the truth now than pay for it later.
That's right.
Under the compensation section, it referenced that there were 4 buildings included. I thought I counted 6 buildings.
I'm sorry.
Just something to look.
Yeah, the monogamized, I'll look at that. The scope of work with looking over.
Okay.
Health and Human Services, number 4, approve the pharmacy services contract with Mr. Howard Aldridge Jr. Number 5, approve the fiscal year 2013-2015 interlocal contract with the City of Dallas for professional services of the Health Authority. Public Works, number 6, consent to the offer of $15,000 received by the City of Garland from Smith Davis Investment Properties for property located at 310 Parker Drive in Garland, and authorize the City of Garland to act and sign on behalf of the taxing entities.
And this is, you know, one of those properties that is way under market value. And I know that we have several items, you know, like this, but I just wanted to put on the record that I thought it was way under.
Well, it depends on how you look at it, because every time I deal with Public Works, I ask for central appraisal district values, I ask for comp values, and the comp values, because people have not protested their values, is usually a lot less than what is on CAD.
Right.
And so, you know, when you talk about values, it's relevant.
Oh, I understand, Commissioner. I mean, you know, but most of the time, it's on an average. You can kind of see it. This one was one that was under, but again, you know, I know that you all do all the paperwork and do your job, so just wanted to put that in there. Thank you.
Item 7, accept the offer from Fred Thomas for $70,000 to purchase tax proposed property at 613 Cedar Rapids Lane in DeSoto. Number 8, accept the offer from Aaron Estrada for $18,000 to purchase the tax proposed property at Rapids Lane, DeSoto, Texas, authorized to sell by quick claim deed. Number 9, authorize the second final 12-month extension of bid for the annual contract for HVAC systems, chemical water treatment and consulting services, as awarded to Garrett Callahan Company. Under purchasing. Number 10, recognize Dynamic Aviation Group as the highest ranked vendor under request for proposals for aerial spraying for DCHHS based on results of the scoring by the evaluation committee and approve the commencement of contract negotiations with that vendor. Number 11, authorize a modification in bid for the contract for the purchase and installation of the glass refractive index measurement system as awarded to Foster Freeman USA for SWIFTs. Number 12, lease agreement, approve the attached non-exclusive lease agreements with Community Tissue Services for the period November 19, 2013 through November 18, 2018, with lease payments received deposited into the general fund against the SWIFTs. And Mr. Brown, you have anything to bring us to this? No bring-ups. Judge, that concludes your briefing agenda. If there are no questions or miscellaneous or information, you do have one speaker listed.
Well, I just have a comment on the briefing notes. We are authorizing the request for the use of the parking lot at 2377 Stennis Freeway on December 7th for the Crystal Charity Ball.
Do it every year.
We have done it several years, and I know that over 1,800 guests will be attending, so we work with everybody that wants to work.
Well, they don't just work, they only work with us, they provide a lot of funding for our particular
programs.
And so we've been the recipient of many hundreds of thousands of dollars from them in regards to our programs here in Dallas County.
Yes, and Dr. Smith and I were recipients of some of that funding, and I just want to be sure that, everybody knows that, hey, we are ready to help them where we can. Thank you, Mr. Martin. Thank you, Judge.
And I do want to say to Ms. Alberta Black, your staff does a great job in trying to convince us with regards to those properties in terms of value. They do a lot of homework. They go outside of just pulling VCAD values. They look at either the pro rata or the judgments, they do post-judgment. And so I know at least in District 3 we've got a rule that if it somewhere approaches 50%, then
and that considerations for each and every other commissioner. We try to make sure that each one of you gets all the information on each one of those locations.
Another item that was very interesting, as always, I read this every week, is the Health and Human Services newsletters. And Mr. Thompson, this week we have the final mosquito and insecticide resistance report, which, was very interesting to see that we're starting to see some resistance in the mosquitoes here in Dallas County. So while I don't think it's anything to worry about yet.
Right, the report basically says we're okay with the pesticide we're using. Just have to be good stewards of the environment.
Right, but the resistance is starting to show.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Thank you.
Right, and Dale, please read the rules of the board for our public speaker.
All commissioners' court attendees are hereby advised that this meeting is conducted in accordance with the provision of the Dallas County Code Section 74-71. Visitors and registered speakers are to preserve order and decorum at all times. Personal, profane, or slanderous remarks are not appropriate and will not be allowed at any time during this public meeting. Any and all applause should be kept brief and observant of time constraint. Disruptive visitors and or registered speakers may be removed and are subject to penalties provided in the state of Texas Penal Code Section 38.13, 42.01, and 42.05. Registered individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and the maximum discussion of any one topic, 30 minutes.
All right, we only have one speaker today, and that is Mr. William Hopkins. Mr. Hopkins, would you please come forward? And Mr. Hopkins, if you've spoken before, there's a slight difference, or you have to, but there's a slight difference in the way we keep time now. If you look up at the screen, there we go. The screen, when you begin to speak, the clock will come on. It gives you 3 minutes. Well, I have that on my screen. In fact, if you want a warning, I can give you that, or do we not have that worked out yet? Show my screen? Okay. So, I can give you a warning in like 30 seconds, whenever you want it. When do you want 30 seconds? And so, when you get to the end of the 3 minutes, you just finish your thought and your sentence at that time. Okay? Thanks. And just begin by saying your name and your address, and then once you do that, we'll get the time started.
My name is William Hopkins, I'm in the 2011 district. Judge Inc., I gave you a copy of the court order on the city of Dallas, where they sued the RSR bed smelter in 1981. So I gave you a copy of this. A couple of months ago, you said you were going to have somebody call me. Nobody never called me. I don't know what happened. Maybe I could speak to you. This lady, I gave the lady my number, but she never called me. I don't know where she is now. Maybe after the meeting, I could get somebody else my number for you to call me again. This letter is, what still said they didn't have nothing to do with the lawsuit, Judge Jenkins. It's the RSR lawsuit. And it was between some residents and the lawyers. The lawyers that helped us with the lawsuit was Fred Byron Russell Bud, Fred Byron White, Lisa Blue, That's the Lisa Blue, that's with DA Craig Atkins, the DA. Russell Bud wife, Dorothy Bud. These people that helped us with the lawsuit. And then, so the city said that, you know, they the one that helped us with the lawsuit, so that was the lawsuit. But on the next page, Judge Jenkins, is where the city sued. They lied and told us that it was an attorney, Fred Byron and Bud, that sued. And they lied and tried to shift the weight and make us think like Fred Byron and Bud and really the one who paid us. But the city and the state, the second sheet show you what the city and the state sued. They lied, and we've been dying, Judge Jenkins. And I gave you this, so I figured when the president came, you would show the president that, you know, you shook hands with the president, and you had these documents when you shook hands with the president. You and the Mayor Ron. Mayor Ron has been doing this for 2 years. I've been asking him for help for the whole 2 years. He's been at the mayor of Dallas. And he's been letting people in West Dallas die. I don't know because we black, the reason y'all letting us die. But Judge Jenkins, I don't know what's your reason for you not saying nothing to the president, and you shook hands with the president, and the people of West Dallas are dying, the blacks and the Hispanics are dying in West Dallas, and nobody not saying nothing. I don't know what made you not say nothing to the president. I don't know if it's because of Russell Bud. The president went over Russell Bud house for the fundraiser, and Russell Bud is the one that sued for us. I don't know who you protecting. I don't know who the mayor of Dallas protecting, but I know that Russell Bud and Fred Byron and Bud and Lisa Blue, Dorothy Bud want to help us with this lid, and the city still got our money and won't help us. And they defrauded Parkland. That's why I thought you would say something to the president, Judge Jenkins, because Parkland, we defrauded Parkland out of money. If the city sued for us, Judge Jenkins, and we got health care in this lawsuit, people signed off. The third sheet is where everybody signed off on it, Judge Jenkins. This was a court order. Everybody signed off on it, and they said what they was going to do. And I don't understand why you letting the city keep the money, and we going to Parkland, defrauding Parkland out of millions of dollars, and why you wouldn't say nothing to the president that we defrauded Parkland out of millions of dollars. Can I get an extra minute? Get somebody vote for me an extra minute. No. John said no. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. And that concludes our public speakers today. In a moment, we'll move into closed session to discuss items under Chapter 551 of the Government Code. Any action taking place in that closed session, any item discussed in closed session requires action will take place in the subsequent closed session.
Judge, just announce again that the personal item from Mr. Jason Harvard will be very close.
I pulled it out. I pulled it out.
Where they go on?